guys, my name is Jen. This is Go Cup Yourself video number 6, and today we're talking about how to cup yourself. How do you do self-cupping at home? Or if you are a body worker, massage therapist, a physical therapist, a chiropractor, somebody who is looking to add cupping to your practice, what are the basic mechanisms of how you actually physically use a cup to create suction on the body? So I want to walk you through a little bit of that. Before we get started, I do want to reiterate, as I have in previous videos, before you actually do any cupping on yourself or on anybody else, please go back and watch my other videos that lead up to this. We talk about contraindications, safety, just different things you should be aware of before you put a cup on yourself, because there are ways that you can overdo this. There are people who should not receive cupping therapy. So just check out all that safety stuff just to make sure that you are practicing this safely. So, okay, I'm going to show you a few different types of cups and we'll go from there. So the number one thing you need when you're cupping, obviously, is a cup, and also you need some kind of lubricant for the tissue to help create that seal. So I have a little bit of jojoba oil here. You can really use any type of oil or cream, massage cream, like an oil-based cream. I find that water-based body lotions or things like that you may have laying around at home may work, but you may find that they get absorbed into the tissue a little bit too easily, so they may not actually create that glide that you're looking for or that good enough suction. So if you're trying to use like some kind of body lotion that you just had at home and you're finding that it's not really working, I would suggest trying an oil or an oil-based massage cream. So jojoba oil is great. You can use coconut oil. You can even use olive oil out of your cooking cabinet. So that's that. So I'm going to put a little bit, just a few drops. You really don't need much, obviously more or less depending on the area of the body that you're working on. And then I'm just going to spread the oil on the tissue. So this just helps to create that seal. It helps the cup to stick, and if you're doing any gliding work, it helps it to glide. So first I'll show you with this cup, which is a pretty basic, pretty common type of cup that's used for cupping. If you watched my previous video where I talk about what cups I recommend, the brand I recommend, I go over the names of the cups where you can purchase these specific ones. So check out video number 5 for that. But so this cup right here is the first I'll show you. So it's a silicone cup. It's medical grade silicone, so easy to sterilize, super easy to clean. That's super important if you're, especially if you're doing any kind of clinical applications for cupping, using it in a bodywork practice, using materials on different clients. So maybe we'll get into that in a different video, how to actually like sanitize cups. But so basically this is how it works. You squeeze it, you apply it on the tissue, you release it. And it's not going to stick super great on this part of my arm because it's a more narrow piece of tissue. If I were to put this on my shoulder, for example, or my back, it would stick really well. So it's that simple. You just squeeze and then apply. So I can show you my shoulder. Let me put a little, oh, probably need that hand. A little bit of lotion, air oil, and then just go like that. And then I'm just going to squeeze and apply. So it's that simple. And you can see right up in here that we've got a little bit of a head coming up on the tissue from where the tissue is being pulled up. So this is posterior deltoid. So when I apply cups to, especially working rotator cuff muscles on myself, I tend to take the arm through a little bit of range of motion. Or any body part that you're working on. And if you really want to get technical, which I plan to teach in future videos, you can look at, when you're cupping, you want to work on cupping the muscle body or the belly of the muscle, also the insertion and the origin of the muscle. So you're looking at attaching it basically at the start, the middle, and the finish of that muscle to address the full piece of tissue, if that is what you're trying to do. If that's a little bit over your head, if you're just like, I don't even know what the heck that thing is called, I just call it my shoulder, that's cool. You can be super intuitive about your cupping. You can just start somewhere that feels like it's tender, feels like it's tight, feels restricted, and go from there. I do say when you're first getting started, leave the cup on for 30 to 60 seconds. Do not leave it on for longer than that at first. In my practice, I may leave cups on for 5 to 7 minutes, sometimes even a little bit longer, but I have a lot of training in what I'm doing, and I know the areas where I can leave cups on for longer, and I know what to look for to see if the body was not responding well to that cupping. So when you're cupping at home, I definitely say 30 to 60 seconds in one spot, and really even more ideally, do some moving work. Put it in a spot, maybe take your arm through some range of motion, pop the cup off, put it on another spot. So this is more anterior deltoid now. That was posterior delt, and this is anterior delt, front of the shoulder. And so now I'm just taking it through a little bit of range of motion, and I can really, really feel that muscle like right underneath this cup, and it's intense, but it's not painful. And that's a really important thing to remember too. It's okay if it's intense. It's okay if it's, there's hurt so good and then there's hurt. So if it hurts so good, that usually means we're getting a therapeutic benefit from the therapy. However, if it straight up flat out hurts too much, no pain, no gain goes out the window with this type of therapy. It's too easy to overdo it. And if you're in pain, your body's locking out anyway. Your muscle is physically trying to push whatever it is that's attacking it out of the system, and it's counterintuitive, so counterproductive. So I'm a really big advocate of that. I stand very firm. No pain, no gain goes out the window. I do not honor that mentality anywhere in my bodywork practice. And I'm saying that as somebody who specializes in deep tissue therapeutic massage and medical massage. So that hopefully will tell you something there in and of itself. So anyway, tangenting a little bit here, but I'm okay with it because it all comes back. So yeah, I left that on for maybe about a minute. I wasn't really paying attention. You will see the deltoid is an area that tends to mark up pretty strong on a lot of people. It's a pretty beefy muscle. Beefy's not a great word, but it's a pretty established muscle or well-used muscle. It's very close to the surface of the tissue, so you're going to get blood flow that comes up really easily there for a lot of people. So if you're curious about marking, I did do a previous video that talks about marking as well, how long they last and all of that. So definitely go check that out. I think it was video 3 or 4. Getting squeeze, release. The cup will fill with tissue and it'll resume that circle. If you put the cup on and it kind of stays oblongy shaped, that's okay too. Sometimes it's just a tighter area of tissue. So that is the basics of how to use this type of cup. And you can use this cup anywhere for if you're doing like leaving it on, parking it, we call it parking the cup for 30 to 60 seconds, or you can do gliding work. So with this type of cup, I often do some gliding work like through my neck and shoulders. And so might go through here. It might not work because I don't have lotion on, but basically you just squeeze and then glide. And so you're going to squeeze and then it's not actually on. You can hear it popping off, but it's squeeze and glide. Let's see if I can show you a better angle here where we just squeeze it, and then once you get that suction is when you glide. So important note, when you are gliding, you're pulling up on the tissue. You're never pushing down on the tissue while you're doing cupping work. You're always pulling up. The idea is to lift and separate and decompress. We're not trying to push down. Cupping is deep tissue work in reverse. It's deep tissue massage in reverse. We're pulling up negative pressure, whereas in massage therapy with positive pressure, we're pushing down. So always remember that if you are pushing down on the cup, you're doing it wrong. So we can squeeze, get that pull and get that connection and just lightly pull up and drag. Way easier to do on a body than it is on yourself through here, but you can do it through the forearms. You can work on your calves, your hamstrings, or you can do hamstrings, quads, abdominal work, through your pecs. So there's a lot you can do with the gliding work there. Also, you can do flash cupping, which is where you basically just put it on, move it to the next spot, put it on, move it to the next spot, and just go through there. And so that would be another cupping modality. And that's a great place to start if you are looking to kind of just get your body comfortable with cupping, get exposed to cupping. Also a great modality to do flash cupping if you're working on lymphatic drainage. So I'll do another video where we talk about lymphatic work. But actually, if I was doing lymphatic work of the face and neck, I would be doing a good bit of flash cupping through here, working on opening up that axillary lymph node, and then working on draining everything toward that lymph node. So we'll touch on that in another video, because that's a really fun thing to talk about too, and super broad applications there as well. So that is the basics of how to do certain cupping moves. The squeeze and release where we park the cup, squeeze and pull up and drag while we're doing gliding work, and also flash cupping where we squeeze and release. So that's how, those are 3 key methods for cupping yourself at home. Additionally, parking the cup and range of motion is a great one as well. Next cup I'm going to talk about, these are also another really common type of cup. This is, I call it a mushroom cup. I've heard it called that. I honestly don't know what else to call it, but it's another type of silicone cup. And this one is a little different. You can squeeze and release. Also with the bigger cups like this, I actually find it's honestly easier to kind of just press down to create the vacuum. So again, I don't know if we can get this here, but it's hard to do with just one hand. But if I could show you on my calf or something, or my leg, which I'm wearing pants, so I won't. But like, you could press down, and there we go. And so you get your suction there. So I'm feeling that through my pec, and then I could take my neck through some range of motion, and I'm feeling some stretching and opening through my chest the further that I pull my neck away from this anchor point. And so this feels really, really good to help open up my chest. So what I could do here is now put this cup further up through the pec tissue and then stretch again. And I'm going to feel that stretch now in a slightly different spot on the pec. So that's a really, really great thing to do for a lot of neck pain. Anybody who's got maybe some jaw issues where a lot of this gets really tight, this might be a cool thing to try out for you. So yeah, this is the mushroom cup, same kind of idea. It's sometimes easier to do gliding work with these cups than it is with these guys. I find this little ridge here, you can kind of get a better, like a better handle to kind of lift and pull. So another option for you. This cup is a style that I really, really, really like as well for very specific work. I love using this on palms, bottom of the feet, along the shins when I'm treating shin splints. Sometimes I'll use it through the anterior or posterior neck. You never want to cup anterior neck right on the front of the neck unless you're doing lymphatic drainage flash cupping, which we will talk about in another video. But this cup, there's a few ways. I've seen people flip it totally inside out, put it on an area, unflip it, and then you've got a nice vacuum there. Then you can kind of just do some range of motion. You can just let it sit. It feels great. Oh my gosh, as a massage therapist, I do this 20 times a day. It just helps to lift and separate all that palmar fascia, which gets really, really tight for us when we work. So this is an awesome cup. And you can also squeeze to create a vacuum. Like if I'm doing forearm work, I might just squeeze it on the tissue and then relax that way. So just basically doing this, putting it on the tissue, squeezing and going like that. And then so I can do some range of motion with my wrist. Love this style of cup. So the last type of cup I want to talk about are these plastic pump cups. I really don't recommend these for when you're just getting started out with cupping because it is pretty easy to overdo it with these guys if you're not quite sure what you're doing. So these cups, if you do decide to play around with these, please be careful. These guys, if you're trying to do self-cupping, they actually do come with a tube so I can put this here and then I attach this end in here. And so it will create this. And so what you could do with that then is go put it, say, on your back, squeeze, and then you can get the cups to stay on your back. It's kind of tricky. I honestly would recommend having somebody else apply the cups for you if you're trying to use these plastic ones that way. And like I said, you can lift and glide with these, but it's not quite as easy. You can also do range of motion work with these, but they pop off a lot easier. So for those reasons and many others, I actually recommend starting with silicone. But yeah, I hope you found that helpful. That is the basics of how to actually cup yourself. And feel free to reach out if you have any questions and follow me here for more content. 3 Waves Wellness. Have a good one.